A viewer from Shawnee brought this one to my attention. A mail offer from a company called the American Testing Institute. It says it's taking a survey of television viewing habits. You fill out the questionnaire, return it to them, and they send you one of 20 free prizes ranging in value from $260 to $2,000. Well, judging by all the loopholes in the questionnaire, you can almost guess it's a phony. For instance, it asks which VHF channel you watch. Well, that information would be useless since VHF channels are different in almost every city in the country. So are the UHF channels. Now, they're asking you to give them information, but they want you to pay for it, $14.80. Of course, they say that's for shipping and handling of your free prize, but they also say you'll receive your prize even if you don't send money. Now, that's mysterious, but as in so many cases where they offer you a free, expensive prize, there's always one on the list that is a clinker. That's the one you normally get, and here it is. In the midst of the microwave ovens, the color TVs, and the free trips, there is a prize of unlimited Kodak film for the rest of your life. Well, according to the Florida Consumer Protection Office, this turns out to be a deal that processes your film free, but you have to buy your film from this company at their prices, and the consumer office says the complaints they're getting are that their prices are much higher than that of local film stores. Now, this is the only prize being offered off this gift list to the best of the office's knowledge, so they think it's a film club masquerading as a testing service. By the way, I called the American Testing Institute in Miami. The secretary could not tell me who runs the company, would not let me talk to the manager, and could not tell me what their surveys were being used for. That normally tells the story right there. I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner. If you've been taken by this company, send your complaints to Consumer Services, the Mayo Building. Seems like everybody nowadays is buying some sort of an expensive, complicated electronic entertainment device for their homes. But what happens if the device breaks down? Well, you take it back to where you got it or to another repair shop and you get in line. That's right, it's going to take you some time to get it fixed. Chances are it's going to cost you some money for parts and for labor. But what if you knew something about the device? What if you knew something about basic electronics? Perhaps you could at least diagnose the problem to cut down the repair time, or perhaps you could repair it yourself for the cost of a 98-cent transistor. But you can learn to at least tell a service technician what's wrong or what's not right with your appliance through a simplified home study course. Radio Shack, for example, provides a well-written series of books ranging from basic components to electronic circuits. But they're less complete than the Heathkit courses, which go from the basics to advanced digital computer technology for $50 up to $100. Do you find that people are getting an interest in trying to do some repairs themselves?
Very much so, yes. More and more.
Well, as you might imagine, learning about electronics, even basic electronics, is not for everyone. It's for those who have a little bit of time to spare, who might want to make home repairs a family project. But a small investment in a basic, simple home electronics course could save you some big bucks at the repair shop and a lot of lost time for your expensive home electronic equipment. I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner. If you're like me, your mailbox is stuffed full of sweepstakes offers, some from credit card companies, some from magazine companies, all wanting you to subscribe to their service for $19.83. But here's one that's rather unusual. It's called the Save a Pet Sweepstakes from the North Shore Animal League in Port Washington, New York, wanting you to help save a pet and take a chance on winning a trip to Hawaii, Disneyland, or some other alleged great prize. This is a clever little sweepstakes offer which arouses your sentiments by showing you pictures of cute little puppies with cute little children. And they say even if you send just $1 to save a pet, you'll still get a prize. Well, I'll bet it'll be the diamond pendant. We've seen those before. They turn out to be diamond flakes worth very little. They even have a Mickey Rooney bonus prize. He's donated a television to help their cause, they say. But wait a minute. Why should Oklahomans help a pet in Port Washington, New York? What about homeless pets here?
Here, we need the money desperately here in Oklahoma because the humane foundations here are really suffering from lack of contributions.
Well, you can help save a pet in New York and take a chance on winning a free prize, or more likely, a piece of junk jewelry. Or you can help save a pet right here in your own backyard by sending a donation to Adopt a Pet, which has to cover the whole state of Oklahoma with a single mobile unit. It's tax deductible. I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner. Rising dental costs may keep many of Oklahoma's senior citizens from getting the dental care that they need. But if they see this sign at a dentist's office, they may be eligible for dental work at a discount. It's called the Senior Dent Program, sponsored by the Oklahoma Dental Association. The man in this dentist's chair is Dr. L.D. Wright, local president of the Association of Retired People.
See, Medicare does not have any coverage for dental procedures. Welfare doesn't have any. Your Medicaid programs doesn't supply anything. Yeah. So that's why the Oklahoma Dental Association thought it would be very nice, and I think it's one of the best programs that's ever been originated for the senior citizen.
Dr. Ray Colmia is a dentist who's participated in the program since 1981.
It is a 20% minimum discount. They are treated exactly like any other patient. It's just the bottom line is a 20% they're going to discount 20%, and that's it.
If you're 65 or over and single with an income less than $6,400, or if you're married with a combined income of $10,000 or less, you can qualify. Outside of Oklahoma, call toll-free 1-800-522-9009. Or in the city, call 848-8873 and get your card for discount dental work from one of 500 dentists around the state. Ask about their discount denture program. I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner. Wanda Spurlock says her husband, Paul Spurlock, has the same name as a man writing bad checks and not paying his bills. But that man is not listed in the phone book, and her husband is. So they get the harassing calls from bill collectors. People won't cash their checks. At one point, General Motors put a lien on their rental property, but that was straightened out.
Oh, we've told the collection agencies, and we've given them our husband's social security number so they can compare it, but they still don't get the message, I guess. I don't know what else to do.
At the Consumer Credit Bureau, we found the other bad debts had not appeared on the credit record of Wanda and her husband. The Bureau manager suggested Wanda deal in person with collection agencies to straighten it out, as well as with stores, credit managers, where they won't cash her checks. I talked with officials of Telecheck, an agency used by many businesses to find out if they can accept a person's check. Telecheck does not go by names alone.
It is an identification that we go by. And if in fact that there is the same identification and the same name, then at this point, no, we will not guarantee. We will ask you to call into the office and try to find out what the problem is.
Our last bit of advice for those with this problem came from the district attorney's office.
As she gets calls from any collection agency, she needs to notify them in writing by certified mail, return receipt requested, that she is not the proper party, and request that they cease calling her or file suit, whichever they'd prefer to do. And then under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the collection agencies have a responsibility to verify within 30 days that she is the proper party.
I'm Brad Edwards, in your Credit Corner. Many viewers have called to complain that they paid a photography studio to have some pictures taken but never got them. They said Cameo Studios closed up without notice and disappeared. One of their customers, Northeast High School, said they gave them a great sales pitch, got several $100s of their money, but never produced.
He wanted to be the McDonald's of photography in Oklahoma City.
Well, I found that Cameo was started by a man named Gary Purcell of El Reno, and it was run by a man named Tom Powell, but they left no forwarding address when they closed their studio. Well, I traced Tom Powell, a manager of Cameo Studios, to a lounge here at the intersection of 10th and May, where he now works. He refused to appear on camera or explain his side of the story. He said his attorneys would contact me tomorrow, and at that time, he would explain what happened. However, he did say they were working out a plan to make sure that everybody got their pictures back. I'll check back with Cameo personnel and their attorney tomorrow, but in the meantime, a member of the Oklahoma Photographers Association had some tips for selecting a studio.
Check their credentials. Are they members of any state or local professional organization? Then, from that point, they can start looking for other forms of certification. Now, the Professional Photographers of Oklahoma have, in 1980, begun a certification program called CPP, which stands for Certified Professional Photographer.
So ask for credentials before you reach for your wallet. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. We tend to think of tan people as somehow healthier than pale people, and we associate a tan complexion with fitness and athletic prowess and with being young.
It's a very attractive, healthy look, and besides that, I can get away without wearing any makeup.
When ultraviolet tanning booths were first introduced, there were a number of warnings issued about overexposure, particularly to what is called UVB radiation produced by the tanning lamps. The operators of the UVA system say they have eliminated that hazard by filtering out all UVB rays and leaving only the A spectrum rays.
You cannot burn. It's impossible to burn because there is no UVB radiation. So there is no protection needed whatsoever. No goggles, no nothing. You don't have to worry about these things because you can stay as long as you want. You'll only get darker the longer you stay. There's no need to be worried about time.
Food and Drug Administration is still investigating the possible effects of UVA radiation on human skin, including the possibility that it accelerates skin aging. Lundstrom contends there is no evidence of that.
The question of skin aging has not been answered yet. Nobody knows anything about skin aging. This system, as I told you, have about 5-6 years history in Europe, and there is no sign of skin aging yet of the US system. But we know that UVB will age your skin very fast, but UVA has not been proven that it causes skin aging.
I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. Statistics show cigarettes the leading cause of house fires in the United States because most burn 30 to 45 minutes if dropped on a chair or mattress. Safety experts say deaths could be prevented if cigarettes were manufactured differently. In other words, change the chemicals that are put in them.
A fire-safe cigarette would be one that either self-extinguishes when somebody doesn't puff on it within a certain period of time, or one that has a low propensity to ignite upholstered furniture. You can lay it down on a couch and see it burn all the way down, and it won't ignite the underlying fabric.
Why don't we have fire-safe cigarettes? Well, manufacturers say they don't know how to make them, but U.S. testing labs have found 2 fire-safe cigarettes on the market, Sherman's and Moore cigarettes. They don't ignite fabric when left burning. Cigarette manufacturers also say fire-safe cigarettes could be more dangerous to smoke, might add more tar and nicotine, or introduce other chemicals. Critics say manufacturers already add chemicals to cigarettes to make them burn faster, and they don't have to reveal what those chemicals are. But congressmen are taking a new approach. Instead of trying to make upholstery manufacturers produce safer material, they want cigarette manufacturers to make fire-safe cigarettes, which indicates Congress is getting tougher with a strong tobacco industry. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. Lucky you. Just by answering a question on the phone, you win a free prize from the first prize category. Of course, you have to attend a seminar on time-sharing plans to get your prize and your bonus prize for responding quickly. That's what many viewers say they've been hearing on their phones and seeing in their mail. But what prize do you get? Well, we asked Action 4 employee Colin Tuttle to sit through the lecture at Resorts Vacation International to see what his prize would be for attending. According to his mail notice, he was to get a prize from the first prize category. And at the bottom of the page, it says minimum value of the gift awarded is $102.95. Well, that certainly doesn't look like it's worth that much, but what did they tell you?
I asked her, I said, is this the $102 camera? And she said, yes.
Okay, now who told you this?
This was the receptionist. My sales lady wouldn't say that it was worth that. She said you'd have to talk to him up front.
Wouldn't commit herself to it. Since other viewers had asked about the prize cameras, I took this one to an expert at a camera shop and had it evaluated.
And I would estimate the value of that in the 1995 category.
1995?
No more.
Okay.
Plastic lens, plastic body, almost plastic everything. It is not normally carried by any distributor that we buy from.
Now, Resort Vacation International's Dallas office told me their supplier claimed the cameras were worth $102. They'd have to do some checking on that. However, they said they no longer put claims of value on their prize literature. So it appears safer to attend sales seminars because you're interested in the product or service, not the prize you'll receive for attending. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. Soda acid fire extinguisher is the one you have to turn upside down to use. When you do that, 4 ounces of sulfuric acid releases into soda water, which creates enough pressure to operate the extinguisher.
If there's any obstruction in this bottle, that drop down block that passageway in any way, the pressure's going to keep building up in there as this acid's mixing, and it's not being discharged, and if there's a weakness in the bottle at all, the bottle's going to blow. There's no way you can operate a fire extinguisher without holding it, so you're right next to the explosion. It's you that's going to get bit.
Up until 15 years ago, the soda acid extinguisher was about the only type around. 6 years ago, they were outlawed in Oklahoma County, but there are still some older ones around in older buildings. The Consumer Product Safety Commission has a report of at least 1 death from these extinguishers, and people have been blinded by the acid. Even the BOCA code, which the building industry recommends cities adopt, says these devices should be pulled from use. Most school safety officials had them pulled from use years ago. Now, even if they do work properly, soda acid extinguishers can only be used on wood or paper fires. Fire officials say you need more than that, such as a dry chemical extinguisher, which works on almost all types of common fires. But there are many of the old soda acid extinguishers in buildings all across the nation because they are expensive to replace. But evidence now indicates they need to be removed. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. In earlier reports, we told you that State Senator E.W. Keller introduced a lemon law to the Senate Judiciary Committee. The law would protect new car buyers if their cars had a major defect and couldn't be repaired after 4 trips to the dealer, or the car was in the shop 30 days or more during the warranty period. It would first require the owner to go through the car manufacturer's arbitration program. If no satisfaction was received there, the manufacturer would be required to replace the car or give the owner a refund. California and Connecticut already have the so-called lemon laws. In fact, a retired couple in Connecticut already was helped by the law. News reports say a week after they purchased their car, they found it wouldn't go into reverse. They took it back, and it sat in the dealer shop 49 days. They called about it repeatedly and complained to the Better Business Bureau, but did not get their car back repaired. They had paid over $11,000 for it, but with the help of their state representative, they got it replaced. Oklahoma's lemon law bill was considered in the state Senate today.
There are problems with other consumer products, and I see no reason to single out the automobile industry just because it's a high-dollar consumer product.
Senator Al Terrell of Lawton added an amendment that would replace all defective appliances under warranty, not just cars.
I understand this amendment's a polite way to kill a bill. It's a nice way to make it so liberal that nobody can vote for it by making it apply to every product there is besides an automobile.
Well, Senator Keller says Terrell's amendment killed the bill. He said it would put America's main mode of transportation, the car, in the same category as vacuum cleaners and refrigerators, so the bill was defeated. Keller says if he can get enough votes, the lemon law could be reconsidered. But he says car manufacturers are putting a lot of pressure on dealers and the legislators to defeat the law. And right now, he says, General Motors has more stroke in the state legislature than the general public. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. The CPR Clearinghouse is a life-saving instruction program administered by AmCare, the city ambulance service. The CPR program is nonprofit. It does not make money by soliciting contributions over the phone, but they have heard that someone is using their name to do just that.
We have not authorized anyone to solicit for benefits for the CPR Clearinghouse, nor do we solicit by phone for any of our services. So persons who are contacted either by door-to-door or by telephone, and they are asked to make a donation to the CPR Clearinghouse, should consider that a fraudulent claim. They should get as much information as they can, and they should call the Central Oklahoma Ambulance Trust and or the police department and report the incident.
Now, AmCare has also had reports of someone going door-to-door selling AmCare ambulance service subscriptions. Those are also fraudulent. If you're approached, don't sign anything or give the person any money before checking them out with AmCare or the police. And if you can get an address where they want the money sent, give that to the police so they can trace the address and perhaps find the phony solicitor. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. The General Motors alarm system protects all doors in the trunk and the rear. If anyone tries to open them without a key, the horn blows, the lights flash, and the circuit to the starter is cut.
Well, I think one of the advantages we have perhaps is a starter interrupter, so that even though somebody gets into the car with horns and blowing and lights flashing, they can't start the car. The ignition won't work.
Now, the GM alarm can't be added on after sale. It's built right into the car at the factory, and that makes it less vulnerable to tampering. These factory alarms aren't nearly as sophisticated as many aftermarket systems, which will trip if the car is moved or even jostled. But at $185, it's only half the price of many of the other systems, and a fraction of the really elaborate setups. And since many insurance companies nowadays will give discounts for cars with alarms, the system may pay for itself in premium savings. Check with your insurance company. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says their tests have shown that the treadwear rating system on tires is not valid. Now, it's a rating system they set up, but now they're telling tire makers that they can no longer use the treadwear rating as a key to the consumer for getting the best tire for their money. Maybe you didn't know the rating was there, but since 1979, the government has required tire makers to test and mark their tires for treadwear, traction, and temperature resistance, so the consumer can compare one tire against another. But the government now says tire makers can drop the treadwear rating because they say there are too many factors affecting treadwear, so the consumer can't judge whether a higher-rated tire will wear better than a lower-rated treadwear.
Right. The treadwear rating will vary because of front-wheel drives. Also, you have different road conditions all through the United States. And this all varies on this just as well as the type of car you're driving.
Uniroyal tires have used the rating in their advertising highly, and they oppose dropping the treadwear rating. But other tire makers agree the differences in the car, such as front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, the suspension, the alignment, all make it difficult to judge a tire's treadwear. So after August, the rating will not be on the tire. But salesman Mike Brady suspects the government or the industry will find another way for consumers to rate treadwear. In the meantime, he suggests consumers pay strict attention to keeping their tires properly inflated if they want the tire to last. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner.
All brands have this on there?
Some parents have told me they're paying extra bucks on their phone bills recently because of a certain phone number their children are dialing. It's a number printed in a men's magazine as an advertising gimmick, allegedly so readers can call and talk with the centerfold girls. But what you get is a recorded, obscene conversation.
Well, hello, I'm Fruity from High Society Magazine.
The parents say the number is circulating through area schools, and many of the children are trying it, not realizing it's going to show up later on their parents' phone bills.
Yeah, I got charged $15 from it.
Okay, did you know it was a long-distance number?
Well, they said it was toll-free.
Who said?
Some recording.
Some recording?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? What happened to you?
About the same thing. I called it twice, and I forgot how much it was. It's pretty much, I didn't know it was, everybody said it wasn't long distance.
Well, the parents want to get the word out so other parents won't be suddenly surprised with high phone bills. And second, they want to know if they can stop the obscene message. Well, I checked with a phone company about that.
Apparently, there's no law being broken, so there's no action that we as a telephone company can take.
So apparently no laws are being broken since the obscene conversation is not being forced on anyone. And in New York, lawsuits have failed to stop the advertising phone gimmick. But in the Oklahoma City area, school principals are warning the students about the long-distance call now, and the parents seem to be doing a little warning of their own.
He said if I ever see on my phone bill again, I'll ground you and kick your...
I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner. The three-day cooling-off period, one of the most misunderstood consumer laws according to the State Attorney General's Consumer Office. For example, Doug Lindauer and his wife signed a contract with a discount buying club. Everything was explained to them, the membership fees and the annual costs. But later they decided against it. That was after signing the contract. But because they were contacted by the business, Durelco, over the telephone at their home, they thought they could get out of the contract.
I was at home. I have an unlisted number. I guess they went down a number list or something. If that's not in home, that's the only way you can get me at home is if you know my unlisted number.
I see.
They didn't come out physically, but they came out via phone lines, and that's, to me, the same as a in-home solicitation.
But Patsy Plate of the Consumer Protection Division says the three-day cooling-off period has limited application.
It only applies to door-to-door sales or what we call home solicitation sales. That is a sale where a salesman comes to the home uninvited. He was not asked to come there by the consumer and sells his product or service or whatever, and the consumer enters into a contract at that time. That does not include phone sales into the home. It does not include insurance sales. It does not include real estate sales or home emergency repair sales.
And Patsy says the three-day cooling-off law does include sales conducted in places other than the normal business site, such as sidewalk sales. But a good guideline is don't sign a contract if you have any doubts. I'm Brad Edwards, in your corner.
All across the United States, a person who does not have a job is desperate, and they're looking for a job, and quite often they jump at something that they should have investigated a little more.
State Labor Commissioner Bill Polk warns Oklahoma's unemployed to be careful when responding to the ads of employment agencies. He says there are many here that are honest, but recently several have come, set up business, and taken off, not providing any jobs, but collecting fees from customers. How do you detect the rip-off employment agencies?
One of the first things you need to look for when you're talking to an employment agency is to look for a license. We license private employment agencies in the state of Oklahoma, and this license must be displayed in a conspicuous place, and if it's not there, you need to call us immediately.
You say it's also illegal for them to charge a fee right up front. That's not the way it can be done in Oklahoma.
That's right. Again, call us immediately if a placement service asks for an upfront fee.
Commissioner Polk says look for a state license and don't pay them up front. And if you have any doubts, call the State Labor Department about the employment agency. He says several agencies they've checked out skip town before anything could be done. So call before you pay and know what you're paying for. I'm Brad Edwards in your corner.